I truly believe that the only thing worse than a leader who lies to get their way is a leader who's learned how to manipulate the truth, either to tell a portion of the truth or a part of the truth that serves them best, or even using the absolute truth in a way that misleads others to believe something, well, that's not true. That to me is the worst kind of leader because it exemplifies the idea that not only are they willing to mislead, not only are they willing to manipulate, not only are they willing to lie, but they're willing to do it consciously and intentionally to get their own way at all cost to anybody else. Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. We are now globally 1 year into a reset, a global shift, a change in the way things are done, a change in the way we go to the grocery store, a change in the way we worship, a change in the way we gather with our friends and the way that we celebrate holidays, a change that has impacted literally the entire globe, socially, politically, economically, religiously, familially. We have seen everything change in 1 year's time. Now, had anyone had the ability to predict 8 months ago, 9 months ago, 11 months ago, the global impact that would have happened with one notification going global. Now, see, I'm not sure this could have happened in a year's time, the amount of change that we've seen without the value of media that broadcasts and allows us to share our ideas around the world. The telegram was the first thing that allowed us to, at the speed of electronics, at the speed of light and sound, to be able to deliver a message in a way that had never been seen before. But now we have satellites, we have the internet, we have television and radio broadcasts, we have podcasts, we have shortwave radio, and suddenly an event that happens in one small place can be a global phenomenon in hours. Now, it's also true that we can take information that is misinformation. We can take information that is corrupt. We can take information that is propaganda and spread it around the world just as fast as if it were true, because sometimes knowing the difference is near impossible. See, one of the things that I find a real challenge right now is that we look at the global shift. We look at the loss of life. We look at the attributions to the loss of life. And I'm not saying that life wasn't lost. I'm just simply saying what was credited for or blamed for that loss of life seems ironically to have moved out of the category of things that in the past have been clearly known to cause a loss of life. And now all of a sudden they're all blamed on one thing. That's ironic to me. It's also ironic that this global shift has meant more power in the hands of the powerful and less power in the hands of the average person. It's meant more money in the pockets of the powerful and less money in the pockets of the average person. It's meant more control in the pockets of those who have control and less in the hands of average people. And yet we ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing? Have we done enough? Could we do more? Could we surrender more? Could we give up more? Could we hand over more? Could we allow more control in our lives if that means saving lives that, well, we're not even convinced that the process has saved lives. In fact, it's just in the last couple of days that true notifications have come out. They've been global notifications, although suppressed in some areas, that the process of identifying, the process of protecting ourselves against this threat they've been manipulated to the degree that about half of what we've done to surrender our control, to give up our lives, to hand over our fortunes, to surrender our daily choices wasn't necessary to begin with. Follow the science, I think, was the quote that now we look at and go, but the science seemed to be ambiguous. I'll use some truth and some facts that are undeniable in getting you to surrender, to give up, to hand over, so that in the end I win. Even if one day it's discovered that I lied to get the power, I lied to get the control, now that I have it, you're not getting it back. We call those hostile takeovers when it happens between companies. Yeah. We call that abuse when it happens in a relationship. But when it happens on a global scale, that the power mongers get more power and the control freaks get more control and the rest of the people get, well, shoved to the wayside for the sake of that power and control, then we just call it politics. That, my friends, is a problem. But it is a problem in leadership. If you lie long enough to get your way just for the sake of getting your way, then have you told a lie? Or have you just used the process as it exists? I mean, it all falls in the category of free speech, right? You can say anything you want to as long as it doesn't bring harm to others. Wait, is that what it says? Do you know what it says? Look, if you're responsible as a leader to lead other people, you're responsible for their well-being. Yep, that's what leadership means. It doesn't just mean push them out in front of you when the bullets are flying or when the fire is burning or when the cars are crashing so that you can save yourself. It doesn't mean to sacrifice their well-being for your own power and your own prosperity. That's not what leadership is. No, leadership goes first, takes the risks, and pays the price so that everyone else can have value added to their life. And that's not what we've seen from our leaders recently, in my opinion. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.